Hello, welcome. I'm Paul Mendelson from Code, and I'd like to talk to you about employee contracts. In particular, the staff terms and conditions of employment that Code has just released, and to explain about why a contract is important and what the important clauses are in the contract. If you have a robust contract, you're going to avoid problems before they happen. And if something does happen with a staff member, then should there be a tribunal or a claim, you're going to be more covered if you've got a well-written, robust contract. And that's what we've tried to do to make your life easier. So I recommend, if you haven't yet got staff contracts, you must have them. If you have old staff contracts, now is the time to renew them. Members can download the latest contracts from the internet and issue them to your staff. If you look at the screen, you'll see that in the contract pack we have self-employed agreements and employee agreements. Today we're going to talk about, in particular, M245A, which is the staff terms and conditions of employment. But I first would like to go to the guidance notes. When you take on a member of staff, you can write them one of our template letters, which have been written by solicitors. And when you send a letter, it's a good idea to send at the same time the contract, because although it's law that staff members should have a contract, must have a contract within 8 weeks, it's better in our experience if a staff member signs the contract before they start work or when they start work. It's always a bit more difficult once they've started, and you can forget, it can get put to one side and then something could go wrong. So send the contract out at the beginning, and there's some important documents that you should send out with the contract. The first one is job description. And you can see in M222G that we have one ready-made for you. We have it for dentists, staff members, hygienists, receptionists. You can adapt it to your practice and you can issue that with the contract. Also, you must give grievance disciplinary procedures that are up to date and in line with current regulations, as ours are. Now, we recommend that you give practice policies and procedures M233. The great thing about these is that they explain everything that you do and how you do it in the practice. It's really worth taking some time to review this document, making changes with any policies or procedures that are different in your practice, and issuing them to all staff, even if they've been with you for a long time. It's a great management tool because you've got something to refer to that says, well, no, actually, we do it this way. This is how you book holiday pay. You have to give notice and so on. And then two very important policies, health and safety policy and infection control policy. With a new staff member, incidentally, you go through the induction process, which you can find in the Code modules, and they'll learn more about these things in the induction process. Now, a contract of employment is made when you just offer a job and it's been accepted, as long as there's a consideration for the job, some money for the job. So that's a verbal contract, but you still have to have a written contract, so by law, and we've produced that contract for you. Some employers are keen to give new employees a probationary period, and we recommend that. Usually it's 3 months, and the probationary period can have some different terms and conditions. And if you read the guidance notes, you'll see that, for example, the staff member may not be able to take holidays in the probationary period. This is quite normal. Just a note about dentists. If you are employing a dentist as an employee, then they have the same rights as other employees, maternity, paternity, entitled to paid maternity leave and so on. So it's a little bit more complicated. Plus also, you'll be paying that dentist's employer's national insurance. You're going to 11% to your insurance bill, to your tax bill. So there's an additional cost there of having an employee dentist. So this has to be thought about very carefully. I'd now like to go to the contract for staff terms and conditions, the staff contract. In the contract then, we have the usual agreement of who the contract is between, the place of work, the job duties. Here you will write any details of your probationary period, and you can edit this clause. If you want to change it, that's no problem. Here you'll add the details of the pay, whether they're paid monthly or weekly, and so on. And here you'll add the hours of work and also how many minutes they can take for lunch. About out of hours cover, that a staff member has to provide out of hours cover and that they'll be remunerated either by time in lieu or by money. And you make that decision, and that comes later in the contract. There's an entitlement to lay off the staff member. Some holiday details about sickness and maternity, all of the regulations and legislation there are covered. About termination of employment. You can terminate employment, and there's a code module on that. It's just been released, so if you look at the modules you'll find that about termination of employment. Grievance and disciplinary procedures, very important that they're not contractual, and we say that here. Health and safety, confidentiality and other issues. It's a long contract, but it's very robust. By having a good contract in place, should a staff member go to a tribunal, you'll be in a very good situation. Plus, if you have legal expenses insurance, most insurances insist that a contract has been signed, and if you haven't had a signed contract, then your insurance will not be valid. Thank you for listening to the video. In future videos we'll be talking about orthodontic contracts, dentist contracts and hygienist contracts.